Hi everyone, I'm Jill Furby and I'm going to be the host of the Unlock Your Leadership Potential Summit. I'm so excited to welcome you to the summit, which has the purpose of helping women unlock their leadership potential. We and the experts are all here coming together to share our ultimate leadership strategies to accelerate your career, motivate your team, and live an empowered, fulfilling life. Today, we're going to be talking with Tricia Woolfrey about the topic of emotional intelligence, your secret weapon. Tricia Woolfrey is a business and personal coach, trainer, consultant, therapist, and wellness practitioner. She is author of personal development and business books and former global HR director with 25 years corporate experience. She specializes in performance, productivity, stress resilience, and emotional intelligence. Tricia designed the unique and powerful A-Head for Success 5-dimensional coaching model to help individuals achieve their goals and work at their best consistently. She set up PW Consulting Limited in 1998, where she has worked with large corporates, startups, small and mid-sized organizations and enterprises, and sole traders. She also runs Your Empowered Self for private individuals. She prides herself on being strategic, tactical, practical, holistic, and supportive. Her latest book, Ultimate Energy, From Tired to Inspired, will be out in January 2017. Tricia, welcome to the summit. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here today.
That was a long intro. I almost didn't recognize myself, but that was me, yes. Hi, nice to be here.
It's great to have you, and I should have mentioned to the viewers that you and I worked together about a decade ago on some work when we were doing some HR and coaching work together, and it's great to see you again, and I'm so grateful to have you on the summit. So good to see you.
Thank you.
Tricia, tell us more about who you are and tell us also about your own journey to unlocking your leadership potential.
So I don't want to repeat what you've just said, but so my background has been in HR. I've actually stumbled upon being a leader. It wasn't something that I'd actually intended to do or aspired to be or anything like that, but in my career, I'd always had roles of increasing responsibility, actually. And as the businesses that I worked with grew, I had more and more responsibility, and then I started to manage a team, and then I was hiring other people's teams as well. So that's how I got into it. I haven't been a particularly ambitious person, but I am a very driven person, and that's an interesting difference. So the drive to do well at what I do rather than to achieve a particular level of status, if you like. So I was working a lot in the corporate world, which I mostly enjoyed. The reason that I came out of it is not particularly keen on the office politics, and I'm not sure that anybody actually does like that. And I'd always quite liked the idea of working for myself, and an opportunity arose where I could either work for someone or work for myself. So that's when I started my consultancy business and private practice as well. So I guess my leadership responsibilities are different now to what they were when I was in the corporate world. I'm now kind of working as a consultant in organizations or coaching individuals to be at their best. And that's really been my journey. Kind of organic, I guess, rather than a kind of set plan, but enjoyable all the way.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Tricia. And I know just, from working with you in the past, just, what an incredible background you have. And, it's wonderful you've gotten into, being an entrepreneur and doing this because it just adds so much value to the world in all kinds of different areas. Which brings me actually to the question of emotional intelligence. I know a lot of us out there have, heard of and read about and seen shows on emotional intelligence, but in your view, what specifically is emotional intelligence? How would you define it?
There are a lot of different definitions of emotional intelligence, which is also called EQ. And in my view, it's about really understanding yourself at a deep level, because we all think we know ourselves, but actually few people really, really do, because we all have blind spots. We have the part of us that we show the world, that's our public self. We have blind spots that we're not aware of that probably other people are. We have our hidden selves that nobody knows, we know, but the other people don't know, the private side that we don't want people to know, perhaps it makes us feel vulnerable. But we also have a hidden side to us that nobody knows about. And that hidden side might include some of our potential that's not yet tapped. Our blind spots may include our weaknesses that are holding us back. So emotional intelligence is really having the public self much bigger than the hidden or the private, or the blind spots. So those parts become much smaller, and the actual you is something that you share with the world confidently. It's also about understanding other people as well. So this is the biggest value, I think. So when you know yourself, you can be a lot more confident, stronger, more assertive. You can feel a sense of self when you're in a situation that gives you more assertiveness rather than aggression or passivity. So that's very, very important. That creates trust in others. But when you understand other people, that's where I think emotional intelligence grows exponentially, because then you can increase your influencing skills, your ability to know what is required for that person to do what you want them to do. And that's not manipulate them into doing what you want them to do, but trying to find a solution that meets both needs. It's also about self-management. So managing yourself in situations, that means managing emotions, motivating yourself, and sometimes motivating yourself. So I work for myself, and I do coaching with people who are solopreneurs, and it can be quite hard for them to get up in the morning and face the day when they don't have someone telling them what to do. And if you're working with a large organization where the politics might be challenging, that might be challenging as well. But with the emotional side, it's not about not having emotions or suppressing them, because that's really unhealthy. What a lot of people do is they hide their emotions through too much in behavior, for example. So they might comfort eat a lot because they're stressed, or they may be fearful of a particular situation, so they find they're drinking more, or they have more cigarette breaks because something is particularly stressful, or other too much in behavior. I call it too much in behavior. A common too much in behavior now is social media. So if somebody finds themselves going to social media all the time, that might be a coping mechanism for what's going on. Whereas with emotional intelligence, it's really being able to front up to what's going on, understand your emotion, understand what that emotion is telling you, because each emotion has a message, and doing something constructive to meet that need rather than hiding away. I think, this is going out mostly to women, isn't it? So a lot of women, and men as well, think that they have to be nice all the time and be very pleasant and never get angry. But what that does is it means that you're trying to please all the time, and it's really hard then to be taken seriously. So sometimes what you need to do is kind of balance the need to be liked with the need to be respected. And so some people tend to just want to be liked, and others tend to just want to be respected. But if you've got emotional intelligence, you really have a balance of the two. So
that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's great advice for women, because we do kind of culturally, I think both in the US and in the UK and in a lot of Western countries, we are almost culturally ingrained as little kids to want to please and to not have that balance that you actually need to be successful in the career world. So Tricia, what do you think the biggest challenges for women in their careers today, and what advice would you offer in terms of how they can leverage their emotional intelligence to overcome some of those challenges?
So I think the biggest one is really being credible. So this need to be liked And, you know, this, I know that we're supposed to be equals, but I think there's still this divide between men and women. I don't quite understand why it's still there, but it's still there. And I think one of the reasons is that we just want to please, and then we're not taken seriously in the same way. So it's building credibility and, how do I want to put it? It's wanting to express yourself in an appropriate way, but also with the balance of making yourself clear, so that being liked and being respected. So that requires you to be very honest and to stand up for your views, but in a way that is influential rather than too strong or too weak, or just trying to say the right thing, because that really affects the credibility. So in order to rise up the scale, that credibility is a really important factor.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think, you know, credibility is such a huge thing, and women, it's just something that we can really look at in terms of our own self-awareness and see how we're coming across and how we're being perceived by others, and being aware of that, both how we're perceiving ourselves and how others are perceiving us is so very important. Tricia, that's a great segue into the next question I have for you. How would someone know whether or not they actually are or are not emotionally intelligent?
That's a really good question, and it's kind of a difficult one, because to know if you have emotional intelligence, you kind of have to have emotional intelligence, because part of it is self-awareness. So I guess one of the factors would be if you how you respond to setbacks, how you respond to feedback. So if you give tough feedback, if you act defensively and get cross or upset, that is a sign that you probably don't have as much emotional intelligence as you may benefit from. So to me, what I coach my clients with is, when they get feedback, to really listen to it and to take a balanced view on it. Is that feedback that could benefit them in their career, even if they don't quite believe it in themselves? I do remember once, many years ago, so talk about my leadership journey, I had a psychometric profile done with this lovely woman. It's the first time I'd had one done, and she gave me some feedback that I really did. She gave me loads of really terrific feedback, and I was going, yes, that's me, yes, that's me, yes, 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 to all of the good things. And then she said something, and I went, no, 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 that's not me. No, that's not me at all. And she was quite firm but kind with me about it, and I dwelled on it for some considerable time afterwards, like days. And I finally said to myself, well, if it was true, what would I do differently? You know, if that's how somebody could perceive me, what could I do differently? And that was a really terrific moment for me, because it meant that I changed the way I interacted in certain circumstances that benefited me. And I do the same with my clients. Act as though it's true and just see what difference it makes when you kind of modify your behavior around that particular situation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's a really good thing to do. So I guess in the moment that I got the feedback, I wasn't being emotionally intelligent because I rejected it out of hand. I had emotional intelligence when I decided to ponder the possibility that that feedback could be true. Isn't it wonderful that I agreed with all the good stuff immediately? And the only thing that wasn't any good, it was like, nope, that's not me. Impossible. So I can laugh about it now. Actually, that's another great bit of feedback, is to help people to help themselves, is to take your job seriously, but not yourself. Yeah. So I think a lot of people take themselves way too seriously. And when they do that, somehow they're not taken seriously, because people know that that comes from a place of vulnerability. Right. Whereas if you take your job seriously and can laugh at yourself from a point of strength, then people really respect you a lot more. It's quite an interesting thing. So, you know, that's a definite skill to develop. What else? So the way you respond to feedback. If you find that you're very emotional, to situations and react in ways that you notice other people react perhaps in a more balanced way. That's showing that you don't have it. Or if you notice that you act calmly in things and are able to still meet your own needs, then that's a sign of emotional intelligence. If you bounce back quickly from situations, that's a sign of emotional intelligence. Somebody's phone there, not mine, switched off.
I know. I thought I'd switched mine off. I apologize.
Easily done, easily done. What else? There's something else I wanted to say about it. Yes, if you say things like, no, I never get upset about things, I don't get stressed, I don't get angry, but you find you're eating a hell of a lot, or drinking a hell of a lot, or shopping a hell of a lot, or some too muching, that's a sign that you're probably suppressing and not being emotionally intelligent. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, Tricia, and actually it's making me really curious because you know, you talk about emotional intelligence being a secret weapon, and I think you've just gone into that a bit on how it can be your secret weapon, but could you elaborate a bit more on how is it actually a potential secret weapon for our viewers?
Yeah, it's kind of a fun title because it's not a weapon that you use against somebody. If you have it, your ability to influence people is increased exponentially. Your performance increases. I don't know how to switch that, it's just a notification. Your performance increases. Your ability to deal with stress increases. So in that way, your emotional intelligence gives you an edge over other people. In fact, there have been studies done that show that people with emotional intelligence, it accounts for 80% of your success, not your intellect, which only accounts for 20%, but your emotional intelligence. So it just gives you the edge on people that don't have it. And that's really what I meant about it. So it's not offensive as in, you know, attacking someone, but whoa, is it a great tool for you to have in your business as part of your business skills?
Absolutely. And, you know, my point of view on that as well is that, you know, we as women oftentimes seem, I mean, this is a little bit of a guess, and I think I've probably read this somewhere as well, but it seems that women, we have a bit more innate emotional intelligence in terms of just an innate leadership characteristic that we bring, you know, to work that our male colleagues may not. They obviously they have emotional intelligence, but maybe not quite to the same level that women naturally do. Would you agree with that, or what is your view on that?
We're generalizing, of course, but by and large, women tend to be much better at empathy, which is an important component of emotional intelligence, whereas men kind of don't get this stuff. It's like, why is she getting more emotional, or what, you know, just get over it, they might say. So women are kind of much better at that, and men are less tolerant to those kinds of things. Men tend to be less in touch with their emotions. Women tend to be more in touch with their emotions. Some would say, men would say too much. So it's kind of, it's always a balance. Is this too much? Is it enough? So taking anger as one of the emotions that gets a bad rep, I don't think anger is actually a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing when it's suppressed, because eventually it comes out in the wrong way, usually to the wrong person, usually at home to the cat or whatever, or the husband or whatever, but usually to the wrong person in the wrong way. Or it may be suppressed so much that the person has an outburst and then they cry when really they just wanted to say, that's not right, we shouldn't be doing it this way. And they lose a bit of their gravitas. So to me, anger is actually a really important emotion that is telling the person who's experiencing that emotion that it's not fair and this needs to be put right. And when you talk about your anger in this way, notice my tone, it's very measured, but it's saying, you know, this isn't right, we need to review how we deal with this situation. These are the repercussions if we carry on in this way. I'm still, I'm not literally angry because obviously I'm just talking with you, but this is how I would express my anger in a work situation. So it's not bad to express it. It's not bad to experience it. I know what a lot of, I've seen this, men will say, well, what's up with you if a woman expresses disagreement about anything or patronizes them. So this is where women especially, and some men too, it's not just women, need to kind of really hold their own and be firm in their opinion and not seek approval or agreement. In fact, if everybody agreed with each other, then somebody in the room is not really needed. So, you know, we need to be able to challenge from a point of strength and to be sure in our views. And if we're not sure in our views, at least to state our views firmly and be open to other opinions rather than just accept other opinions because ours must be wrong. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Tricia, and I love that you pointed that out, you know, having being firm in what we're saying in a calm, measured way, but also, you know, at the same time being open to all of those opinions in the room. And I also think to add to that, you know, just having a good solid reasoning and justification behind our arguments that we're bringing out there. But I think the calmness and the openness are so important, you know, when we're getting our point across in any kind of, you know, corporate setting. I had another question for you, and it involves the self-awareness piece of emotional intelligence. And you had talked a lot about self-awareness, and I'm also curious to understand, how does self-awareness tend to differ between men and women? Are we equal in that? Does one tend to be more or less than the other? What are your views on that from your research and your work?
Well, I work a lot with men and women. In fact, I would say I'm probably working more with men at the moment. And so it's difficult to generalize, but because often people who come and see me have some level of awareness because they're being open to seeing me. But by and large, women tend to be more open to looking to being vulnerable about things, whereas men want to kind of show that they're strong and everything's okay. To themselves as well as others. So, you know, we all kind of tell ourselves lies like it's okay when it's not okay. Being able to be honest with ourselves is really, really important. So it's not something that's solely in one camp or the other, but there's a tendency for it to be more with women than men. But certainly I've seen lots of men who have self-awareness as well.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going to see you probably, which is they're aware that they need that support and from an excellent coach. So those men are tending to be the very self-aware ones. Tricia, next question I have for you. What advice would you offer women to help them excel in their careers? And you could maybe put some emotional intelligence into this, or maybe from some of your other work on stress management, etc. How would you recommend they excel in their lives in their careers while also living an empowered and fulfilled, happy life?
Honestly, I think it's really, really helpful for them to work with a coach, because a coach will challenge and will support and will guide and help you on every step of the way. But if that's not an option, you've kind of got to do that for yourself. So I teach my clients what I call my 3-to-1 rule. And that rule is, in any given situation, what 3 things did I like about what I did there? And what that does is it increases your confidence because you're saying, I was really good at that, and that I like the way that I did that, and that was good, that worked out well. And you're reinforcing those behaviors. And then the 1 is the one thing that you'd want to change or do differently. And the ratio and the timing is important. So you build yourself up with the positive stuff, and then you're open to, I could have done that better. That could have gone a lot better. So next time, what I'm going to do instead is, and then it's kind of like a mental rehearsal for the future. So that's a really kind way of self-evolving. I think as well, it's really important to understand yourself really well. Psychometric profiling is a great way of doing that because, you know, we talked before about blind spots and the unknown self. So you can ask yourself a million questions and sit with those. What I notice with people, if I ask a question, if I got paid £10 or $10 for every time they said, I don't know, immediately, I would be buying out Donald Trump. Honestly, I don't know, with no thought at all. So sitting with a question and being curious. So notice what I'm doing here. I'm kind of being inward looking, being curious about what is the answer to that question rather than just saying, I don't know. That kind of helps to build it up. Mm-hmm. Actually, I've lost sight of the question. Was the question, how do you build emotional intelligence?
How would you recommend that women can both excel in their careers while being happy, basically happy at the same time?
Okay, yeah, so those answers still work. But also, we talked a little bit before about credibility. So credibility is about setting really good boundaries and sticking with them, because we teach people how to treat us. So if we say, no, I can't work the weekend, and they say, but it's really important, and we respond, well, okay then, we're teaching them to ignore us and that we're not important. So it's really important to set boundaries and keep with them, so that people take us seriously and don't take us for granted. And then we're respected more. So we know, we talked before about balancing like and respect. So this is an important part of being respected. Another tip is what I call the 100% rule. And the 100% rule is applying yourself 100% to what you're doing in the moment. So this is a particular problem with women who've got children at home, where they're at work and they feel so guilty because they've got the kids and they didn't take the kids to school this morning and they've got all the laundry piling up and they're a terrible mother and wife and what do I do at work anyway? And then they go home and then they feel resentful because the children want attention and they should be doing this at work and blah, blah, blah. So wherever they are, they want to be in the other place. So the 100% rule is wherever you are, apply yourself 100%. That way your guilt diminishes significantly and you are giving so much more of yourself, so you get more done. Your children get all the love and attention that they need, and your husband or your partner. And at work, you're much more effective because you're not carrying the guilt of home with you. So that works really well for people. It takes a bit of practice, though.
Thank you for bringing that point up, Tricia. That really resonates with me personally, just being the mother of a young child, and even though I now work from home, I still have days where the laundry's piling up and the dishes are in the sink and I'm trying to get work done, and then my daughter comes home and I know that I need to be present in the moment and be 100% in every place, but it's human to have trouble doing that. And I think that even though I know it, I think it takes practice. Would you agree it takes practice and more practice to actually implement it successfully?
It is two things, practice and discipline.
Yeah.
Because I think this comes from the disease to please that comes up again. You know, I want to be a great mum. I want to be a great wife or partner. I want to be a great leader, a great businesswoman. And so whatever they're not doing, they feel that they're failing at. So the 100% rule, if it could be tattooed on the eyelids, so that whenever you blink, you're reminded of it, is a great reminder that, no, I'm here and this is what I'm doing. Okay, so, and when you're with the kids, I'm here and this is what I'm doing. I am 100% here. Once you get into that practice and discipline, the stress just starts to melt away. You'll be easier to be around. You'll be more productive, more effective. People will at work will respect you better. it has so many positives to it. So it's really worth making that a priority.
Absolutely. And you've just reminded me, Tricia, I need to make that a priority in my own life. And I'm sure there are many viewers who also probably are thinking the same thing, because it's a constant, juggling act and struggle as a mom, to, try to get that balance right. It can be so challenging. And I'm going to start to practice and discipline, implement discipline to do that in my own life. Tricia, in terms of emotional intelligence, I have another question for you, pertaining to that. In your view, is emotional intelligence something that is just innate and inherent, or is it actually a skill that can be developed?
I think there are some people that have it naturally. But it definitely is something that can be developed as well. So I've already mentioned a couple of techniques that can help with that. Having a coach definitely helps with that. So in my private practice, I use hypnotherapy as well. And what that does is, it's the way that I use hypnotherapy, because everybody has different techniques. It neutralizes the drivers that create the negative behaviors. So there'll be something that's driving that behavior. So the need to please, where does that come from? And let's neutralize it. So it's not enough just to understand where it came from. That does help. It's neutralizing that drive so that you're not taking all that baggage from the past into whatever you're doing in the present. Yeah, so it can definitely be developed. It takes practice and discipline as well.
Yeah. I guess as does everything in life, practice and discipline, no matter what you're working on. Yeah. And it's good to know that it is something that if we want it enough, it is something that we can actually develop and build that muscle and that skill set. And also it sounds like it can decrease stress at the same time that it's adding to, our career progression, our success, and everything else.
It increases fulfillment. So as a leader, you'll be managing a team. It will increase the morale of the team. It increases collaboration. So if you're a leader who's on the board of directors, your ability to be heard, and not just the sound that you're making, but truly heard, will be increased exponentially as well. And yes, it reduces stress because you see things with a new perspective, a healthy perspective. So it's worth investing time on developing that skill set.
I love that, because I completely agree with you. I've been on teams myself where we've had leaders who are extremely emotionally intelligent and those that are not so much. And the motivation of that team, the morale, everything about it, you get so much more success and such a higher result from that team when you are leading with emotional intelligence. So I absolutely agree.
The problem is that some leaders who are autocrats, they get really good results, but they get good results short term. They don't get proper support from the team, and they tend to be the kind of people that have to move from job to job because they're creating a lot of chaos around them. So they're achieving their numbers or whatever it is, whatever their targets are or outcomes are, but at great cost. It's perfectly possible to be a good leader, which is inspiring, not controlling, and get great results. And those can then be sustained, and people can enjoy that journey, even though there might be challenges to encounter on the way.
I love that, Tricia. I'm completely aligned with you, because my whole philosophy as well is these autocrats you're talking about. If you're leading from a place of anger, that's never going to work in this, except for in the short term. But if you lead with a higher energy level where you have a, we all win sort of mentality where you're driving collaboration and teamwork, and you have it's kind of a strong vision in mind, and you want the best both for yourself and for your team and for your company, that's when you're going to get those long-term sustainable results. And I completely agree with you on that. Tricia, as we're wrapping up the interview, what would be the main takeaway or takeaways that you would want to leave our viewers with today?
Continuously work on yourself, because part of the pleasure of your career is, not just your career actually, your life, is to evolve as a person. So work on yourself the whole time. So emotional intelligence is a great thing to work on because it benefits you in your personal life and your home life as well. Set really clear boundaries with people. That way you respect yourself a lot more. Other people respect you more. You have more balance in your life. And the 100% rule, I think, is a really, really good rule to have as well, because that means you're going to enjoy whatever you're doing and give more to whatever you're doing, so that whatever you're doing gets more from you too. So that's kind of a win-win all around.
Absolutely. Those are fabulous points. Fantastic advice, Tricia. We're so aligned. I'm so excited to be featuring you on the summit. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for giving this advice to our viewers. And just thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, everyone, I would like to say to our viewers, thank you for attending today. It's been wonderful spending another interview with you on the summit, and we have many more fabulous experts. And oh my gosh, Tricia, I forgot your free gift.
My free gift, yes.
A free gift for our viewers. How did I forget that? Tricia has a fantastic free gift, everyone, and I am going to tell you what that is now. So Tricia has a free gift called Your Emotional Intelligence Insights, and I am going to make sure that you see, we're going to have a link at the bottom of the interview where you can download Tricia's website. It'll get you to Tricia's website, and we'll have her email address there as well. And Tricia, could you please tell our viewers about your emotional intelligence insights and what value that would add for them?
Yeah, so it's something that will explain to them a little more about what emotional intelligence is, the value to them in their lives, the consequences of not having it, and it also has a self-assessment in there as well. And the self-assessment is my take on what emotional intelligence is. It shows a particular trait as it's overstated and at an emotionally intelligent level. So, you know, the contrast between the two. So you can see where on that band you are, and then you can see where you need to develop in order to develop more emotional intelligence. So it's a really neat tool to have. I was thinking probably the best way for people to get it is to just send me an email from my website. So if they go to my website, send me a message, can I have the emotional intelligence insights? And I will just send that to you. And I tell you what I'll do as well is I'll send my performance and productivity self-assessment as well. So you get two things for one. Does that sound fair?
That sounds perfect. And could you give our viewers your email address as well? They'll be able to click on it, but I just want to make sure that we have it from you also.
Okay. So first of all, the website is www.p4papa-consulting.co.uk, and the email is Tricia, Tricia, at p4papaw-consulting.co.uk. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Tricia. And everyone, I want to make sure everyone goes to Tricia's website and downloads this wonderful gift, because it is fantastic. And I hope everyone is going to be able to benefit from it who is on the summit today. So again, Tricia, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much.
I enjoyed it.
Same here. I think I enjoyed it so much that my brain was just so engaged that I completely forgot. So thank you. Thank you so very much. And everyone, thank you for viewing today. And we are going to have many more fabulous experts on the Unlock Your Leadership Potential Summit. And until next time, we will see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.